Players don't get better under pressure. Okay. Pressure breaks down everybody. Now, there are a few people who may see a jump in adrenaline, which helps them fine tune their pitch, velocity and their location. But guess what? You also have hitters with adrenaline who now that fastball that is going from 88 is going to 92, but it flattens out and it moves towards the center of the plate. Yeah, have fun with that.
Right.
Okay. And so the thing about it is if a coach comes to them, and this is a thing that I hit coaches hard with, is that coaches get afraid to share their plan with players because they're afraid they're going to lose them emotionally. If somebody said, "Look, Brett, you're going to pitch," I mean, and Skip used to do this. Look, you're, if possible, this for the next 3 months. Okay. And if possible, is if we have a lead, I'd like to get you some innings because I'd like to move you to if needed. Then I'd like to move you into this is your role. Okay. He had a progression. If possible, meant if we were up or down by like 8 to 9 runs and the game was out of, then I got the chance to pitch. Okay. Now, let's be honest. That's hard to go to 72 games. It's hard to go to practice and all that. But who was I going to beat out? Like, who was now? Let's say I go in there and all of a sudden, if possible, and I start doing well, and then I find something and velocity picks up, I start doing well. Then I move to if needed, and then he puts me in a tough game, I do well. Next thing you know, it could be the SEC tournament, and I'm a guy coming out of the bullpen who's got 20 innings, but I've found something. That happens all the time in baseball, basketball, football, happens all the time. But what happens is players, you know, climb the ladder by focusing on the things that they can do. And as parents need to understand that if coaches, and this is why the parent coaching dynamic happens and it goes bad, is that nobody's willing to say what needs to be said because everybody's afraid to upset somebody because I don't want to upset the recruiting line. I don't want people to talk bad about me. Look, you want to talk bad about somebody, go for it. Okay. But as a coach, if you have told a player, Brett, you will not play for 2 years, this is what I need you to do. I need you to immerse yourself in the data and the understanding, get in that weight room, lean up, get stronger. And I don't do it, then I can't blame coach.
Correct.
Okay. But what happens is coaches don't ever say it like that. They kind of give vague generalities, and then the player does some of it and then just doesn't understand why they're not playing. And so you're better off to sit with somebody and say, look, I want to try to get you some innings. Okay. Now, remember, I'm also trying to get innings of other players too. There was a moment. It actually happened at Arkansas, and my senior year, we go to Arkansas coach that I was the number one guy to come out of the bullpen. First inning, ninth inning, it didn't matter. I could get out of any jam in the world. I had this Houdini-like experience. And if I went through the SEC roster, if I went through the lineup in one day more than one time, I usually would be at risk because I had some funky stuff. Okay. But the Friday night game, pitcher throws a complete game. Saturday game gets rained out, so we have to place 2 7 inning games on Sunday. Those suck, but we had to do that.
Yep.
It was about 39 degrees. It was raining, and our bullpen was underwater, so we had to warm up in the Arkansas bullpen. This is in their old stadium, and I think it's like 3-2 in the fourth inning, and I'm starting like my engines are priming. Like this is my game, right? I'm trying to stay warm, whatever. And then all of a sudden, he sends our lefty to the bullpen, our freshman lefty, and the kid's name was Eddie Yarnell. And Eddie Yarnell pitched for the Yankees in the
Yep.
major leagues and pitched overseas. He was a good kid, really good player. And I remember just like getting kicked in the solar plexus or further south of that. And I was so ticked off. And I remember just eating my insides. And Eddie goes and warms up, comes in the game, gets us out of a jam. And then as soon as he goes in the game, they send me to the bullpen. And I'm like, oh, so bad. And then we blew it open, and now I had to throw, right? Because it's the end of the game. I've gone through an SEC weekend. I haven't pitched yet. And so coach puts me in to throw the seventh inning. We're up like 9, right, to finish the game. And I pitched like crap, gave up a yard ball, struggled to get through the inning, gave up a couple runs, whatever. And I got done. I was so ticked. And I remember our pitching coach came up to us, and our pitching coach really wasn't the X's and O's guys. He was more of like a teacher. He was more of a support guy. He was like, Brett, what the hell was that? And I was like, why did he put in Eddie ahead of me? Like, that's my job. And after me, acting like an idiot and spoiled brat for a little while, um, Cano eventually said, the pitching coach said, dude, you didn't get it, did you? He said, we have got to get a third starter developed before the postseason. and Eddie is a major league pitcher. Okay. The kid's gonna pitch in the major leagues. We need him to pitch later in the season. If we put you in and then put him in when it was an 8-run lead and he struggled, who would come in relief of him? If we put him in and then put you in, you were there to fix his mistake and it wouldn't crush him. But you were so caught up in not being in the moment, you tanked yourself. And he outshined you. And that was a big wake up call for me because he was right. As a coach, they had a plan and I didn't know what the plan was, right? I mean, they should have told me, and I would have been like, yeah, okay, that's cool. Like, I'm ready to go. And maybe a mistake. Maybe I got caught up in the moment, but I didn't handle that. I mean, I was a fifth year senior. I should have known better than that.